education is communist and Marxist in its orientation. Joseph McCarthy was right. He was right all along. And because he was right, he was vilified and destroyed. Senator Joseph McCarthy was right. In 1975, the National Education Association Resolutions Committee meets in Washington, D.C. and proposes a resolution that says no person should be dismissed or demoted because of sexual orientation. This resolution is typical of the radical types of resolutions on such subjects as abortion rights that the NEA will support in future years. These resolutions will also clearly demonstrate the hypocrisy of the National Education Association, which on the one hand will advocate the right to abortion as a matter of privacy, but then will support comprehensive sex education, which includes a virtual sex organ recital, K-12, ignoring students' privacy right, not to be exposed to this in a public school classroom with other students, male and female, present. In the November-December Today's Education, the NEA's journal publishes NEA President John Ryer's editorial called The Uses of Teacher Power, in which he declares, quote, "We must become the foremost political power in the nation," end quote. In 1976, on February the 5th, the Los Angeles Times published Richard Bergholz's article called Teachers Group Seeks National System Like Hitler's for U.S. Schools, Reagan says, end quote, in which the future President Reagan says at a Florida rally that the National Education Association really wants, and I quote, "a federal educational system, a national school system, so that little Willie's mother would not be able to go down and see the principal or even the school board. She'd actually have to take her case up to Congress in Washington. I believe this is the road to disaster and the end of academic freedom," end quote. No wonder they tried to kill him. The NEA makes available to public schools around the nation a program titled, quote, "A Declaration of Interdependence, Education for a Global Community," end quote. And we've covered the text of that in a past broadcast of the Hour of the Time. In September and October, Today's Education publishes NEA President John Ryer's editorial called Education for a Global Community, describing the National Education Association's bicentennial committee theme of world interdependence. In the same issue is also published, quote, "The Seven Cardinal Principles Revisited," end quote, concerning the NEA Bicentennial Committee's work, culminating in the NEA Bicentennial Idea Book regarding a reframing of the cardinal principles of education. Let me say that one more time. Regarding a reframing of the cardinal principles of education, 1918, and recommendations for a global curriculum. A report has been prepared by Project Chairman Harold Shane. In this article, there's material from the report dealing with the 7 cardinal principles, including this statement, quote, "There are striking similarities of thought between the 1918 report and the present panel's thinking. For one thing, the NEA bicentennial panelists emphasized the importance of a global viewpoint. Various statements supported loyalty to the planet as well as to the nation, the need for a world view, world citizenship, and the need for membership in much larger societies, or for recognizing that citizenship is more narrow than chauvinism. The report also said educators around the world are in a unique position to help bring about a harmoniously interdependent global community." Terrell H. Bell of the United States Office of Education was a member of the NEA's Cardinal Principles Pre-Planning Committee, and he was named by President Reagan as United States Secretary of Education in 1981. In 1978, November, Reader's Digest published The NEA, a Washington Lobby Run Rampant by Eugene Methvin, in which he remarked, quote, "By the early 1970s, a young Turk faction had gained control of the NEA and launched into a full-scale unionism. When Terry Herndon became NEA's executive director in 1973, he set about building a huge political machine. What is the NEA's ultimate goal? Herndon is blunt, quote, to tap the legal, political, and economic powers of the United States Congress. We want leaders and staff with sufficient clout that they may roam the halls of Congress and collect votes to reorder the priorities of the United States of America," end quote. And you wondered, what happened to your children?
We love American pride. We need American pride to rebuild America, and don't take us back to where we were, but to where we should have been. All for the people who've been long forgotten and just ignored again. And we're working hard for the...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Hour of the Time is brought to you by Swiss America Trading and Veritas, the best